who I worked with. There was supposed to be testing, and there was no testing until he got to the UK on a Sunday, and they tested him on Tuesday, and they fought on a Saturday. So if you look at the pictures, he probably weighed 185, 190, and 30 days later he's weighing 160. So that seemed highly suspicious to me. And then the same thing with his next fight with David Lemieux in Canada. And he claimed that he'd been doing testing and so on, but once again, we see the chubby guy who turns into the skinny guy in 30 days. Seemed highly suspicious. So once the contract was negotiated, there was a clause, the Demetrius Andrade versus BJ Saunders bout sheet had a clause in it that if Matchroom requested VADA testing, that there would be VADA testing, but only if they requested. Now, obviously, money is an issue. It costs $16,000 to $20,000 to have a testing pool for a couple months for both fighters before the fight. And so to make sure that this happened, I agreed to sponsor this testing. So they both enrolled in VADA testing. And let me say that WADA testing, the World Anti-Doping Association testing, is considered the gold standard, but it is not. And the reason, what people have to understand is that it's not very effective is because they have two types of testing, out-of-competition testing and in testing.
Okay, I've digested all of this. We covered it last week. We did one video about maybe an hour or so after the news came out. And obviously, I'm not one, well, for people who don't know, I'm not one to jump conclusions to say, oh, this fighter's cheated, and everything, because it's very complex. And in this case, I'm going to tell you my honest opinion. I think Billy Joe knew what he was doing, but also there is a big loophole that we talked about even before this former P. Well, he still is a PD guru, but he's did dirt too in the past, Victor Conte. But everything he's saying in this is very informative, educational, and he's telling the truth. So do I think that Billy Joe did something wrong? Yes. Do I think that he should be penalized? We're going to talk about it because, say, for example, if Demetrius Andrade got popped for that same drug, and some dickhead said I was saying that because, race or whatever, when I said, what if it was Andrade? What if it was Andrade because Andrade is governed by VADA here in the States and licensed to fight in Massachusetts, Boston, where the fight is going to be taking place. In fact, this is a good time to cut over to this promo over on the DAZN, and you can hear what Andrade had to say last night. Right now, it's 8:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday, September the 30th, 2018. So this was on Bellator 206 last night.
It's another blockbuster night of world title action. Someone zero's got to go when controversial Briton Billy Joe Saunders defends his WBO World Middleweight belt against Demetrius Andrade, the Rhode Island native.
I know I got to fix the ticker up there.
Aiming for two-weight world glory. More on that. Jen Brown, take it away.
Well, thanks, Joe. Jay, I'm here with Demetrius. Demetrius, yesterday news broke that your opponent, Billy Joe Saunders, failed a voluntary drug test, putting your fight in jeopardy. What are your thoughts about what transpired the last 24 hours?
Yeah, it's crazy and unfortunate that, in order to try to beat me, you have to take enhancement drugs. But, we're going to take one step at a time, pay attention to the protocols. And from my end, I'm willing to fight and just put more fuel in my fire to whoop his ass.
Well, let's talk about that. You both come in undefeated, 28 knockouts between the two of you. Can I get a prediction on how you see that fight going?
After what's going on and what he's doing to try to get the edge, I'm definitely coming in to kill.
Now, you told me earlier that you were looking forward to seeing Aaron Pico in the cage tonight. He had Freddie Roach in his corner.
This was him. He talked about nothing else but Bellator after that. Let's go back to this. This also part right here is very important. This is Victor Conte with Cynthia Conte. Are they related? Is that his wife? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, this was the interview right here. He did with the Ring Digital. Obviously, I can't play it for you, but you really need to go over there and listen to it. We're just listening to a little. He talked about so much in 17 minutes. We're just listening to about a minute or two of it. I'm going to play some more, and we're going to talk about it in detail. Please subscribe. Who's this fighting?
So in between fights and on fight night. And what people don't realize is that the list of performance-enhancing substances that they test for in between fights is very limited.
Okay. You know, a lot of people don't know about the what is it, in training? In competition, in competition and out of competition, and a lot of people have started writing about it. And
Okay, so here's the issue. The drug, loxaprin, whatever, the old word drug, the drug that Billy Joe Saunders pissed hot for, it's legal in the UK under the UK anti-doping regulations, out of competition, but during fight night you can't take it. However, here is the big issue. Billy Joe Saunders has what is classified when people talk about PEDs is an unfair advantage, because he's using this drug, as he says, it's a nasal decongestant, but it's used to cut weight, and we've learned, we've learned that Billy Joe Saunders, he has no issues cutting weight. So obviously, he's been using it, right? And he's admitted to using it, but he's saying it's in what did he put up here? He's saying it's in, that's his son, who punched Willie Monroe in the nuts. You're gonna get me copyrighted, Billy Joe. He's had no issues like making weight, and we saw that excellent foot speed display he put on against David Lemieux and then Nando's Chicken. And he's been in phenomenal shape over the last year. He's really, because Remy fought in December, and he's really, kept that physique up. But here's the thing, like I said, there's a loophole, and they knew about it, because the fight is VADA testing. Victor Conte, who represents Demetrius, Andrade, and Willie Monroe in regards to strength and conditioning, he paid for the testing. So Billy Joe Saunders knew, or he should have known, unless they're going to play the Canelo defense in regards to, well, we didn't know it was in contaminated meat. They're saying it was in a decongestant, Billy Joe Saunders' side. In fact, this is what I'm going to do for you right now. This is what I'm going to do for you right now. This is what I'm going to do for you right now. And
más pesadas.
That explanation, that Canelo had ingested the substance through
Pesadas, clenbuterol. Yo trabajo mucho en lo de la carne y conozco y sé que muchas personas, muchos ganaderos, engordadores de ganado, le aplican el clenbuterol a sus reses para que pronto se pongan más pesadas.
That explanation, that Canelo had ingested the substance through contaminated meat in his native country, divided observers, with supporters pointing to its plausibility and doubters exclaiming it was a cover-up for more sinister purposes.
Y nunca tengo la intención de meterme cosas, no las necesito y respeto mi deporte, nunca lo haría.
But listen to this though. Listen to this though right here. I don't want to be too long with this video, but we got to get to the bottom of this, and we're going to go through some very interesting shit. The PBC on the FS1 card is on. We actually have two people fight View 360. Thank you to Rob Suarez and Jose Rizzo, new to Fight View 360. We're also going to be covering the Wilder versus Fury press tour. I got to be back up working in about another 6 hours. After this card is over, which is going to be another 3-4 hours. I got to take a little quick nap, get up, and cover the Wilder Fury press conference, because it's going to be a long day tomorrow. Anyway, let's get back to this. Listen to this.
And before, the substance that we're talking about is oxylofrene. It's also methylsinephrine. Is that how I say
Yes,
it?
methylsinephrine. People know this as ephedrine or ephedra, but years ago there was a product called Ripped Fuel by Twin Lab that was very popular, and of course has a weight loss product. but this is a very powerful and potent substance, tenfold more powerful than clenbuterol. So Billy Joe Saunders saying that Canelo was taking this, it's like that's baby food and this is the steak, okay? So what he was taking opens up the air passageways. It was an inhaler that he was using. It's a central nervous system stimulant, gives you tremendous energy, increases speed, increases power, cuts weight. This is a boxer's dream drug. So he was using something very potent. On fight night, this is a prohibited substance. But in between competition, the UK AD, anti-doping in the UK, does not test for this. VADA does test for this. So when he signed this enrollment form with VADA, the prohibited substance list is there and given to him. This substance is on there. It's on the list for the NFL, Major League Baseball, NCAA, everybody year-round, not out of competition testing with a weak list like they do with WADA. So apparently he and his trainer realized that this was a loophole that you could drive a Mack truck through, and they decided here's a way to drop 25, 30 pounds in a short period of time, give you all kinds of energy and enhancement in training. And they tested him. The sample was collected on August the 30th. There is another sample, we believe, and we believe that's also going to come back positive as well. This substance clears the body in 24 hours. So we believe that he's been using this for a long time, and he has been tested, but they don't test for this substance, so he's been driving a Mack truck through this loophole.
So, I mean, it's not banned in the UK, so UK fighters could be using
it's banned on fight night.
On fight night, but I don't understand why all these governing bodies just...
Okay, so do you understand what the issue is? So, Billy Joe Saunders is licensed by the British Boxing Board of Control, right? Governed in regards to drug testing by the UK anti-doping, the UK AD. However, over here in the States, the fight is being governed by VADA, which Billy Joe Saunders signed the contract for. That's where the loophole comes in at. Because you can look at it and be like, oh shit, this shit is legal on here, but not on here. That's just like if you go somewhere and they say, don't take pictures, but they tell you don't take pictures, but it's no signs that say don't take pictures. But you know you're not supposed to take pictures, but you look around and be like, motherfucker, ain't no motherfucking signs, so I'm gonna test it out. It's an ugly, ugly, ugly situation, but in this case, because of that loophole, that's not Andrade's fault, not Billy Joe Saunders' fault. I don't know if they're going to strip him. Maybe a fine. And also, it's a lot of money involved in this. And Andrade himself doesn't want him to be. He wants the fight to go on. Listen to this so you can get a little understanding of what's going to happen. There's supposed to be a hearing on October the 8th for Billy Joe Saunders to, from my understanding, not only get his boxing license in Massachusetts, but also to go in front of the board of the Massachusetts State Athletic Commission. Because of this, just like right here you'll see Canelo did when he had to go in front of Nevada State Athletic Commission. Now really pay attention to this. Now this is all newsworthy. I don't want to hear no shit about people copyrighting me, or you will be hearing from my attorney. And yes, we do have an intellectual properties rights attorney. Here, listen to this.
Desafortunadamente la pelea, la revancha tendrá que esperar.
The Nevada Commission's anti-doping regulations call for an automatic suspension when an athlete tests positive for a banned substance, typically for a year. But the Commission chose to dole out more modest measures in this case.
Taking out of order item number 6, hearing on the disciplinary complaint for boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez.
The parties have reached a proposed adjudication agreement, which includes a period of ineligibility of 6 months from the date of the first positive test.
All in favor? Aye. Great. Motion passes unanimously.
Whether it was from contaminated meat or not, we will never know. That's not our job to know. Our job is to know if you have.
So obviously, this guy right here, I forgot his name. Anthony Marnell, the chairman of the Nevada State Athletic Commission. This was the guy pretty much at the head of the table in regards of what was going to go on with Canelo. So expect something similar when it comes to Billy Joe Saunders, when it comes to the Massachusetts State Athletic Commission. So let's go back a little bit so you can pretty much process what happened here, where Canelo took a deal. Basically, normally they would suspend you for a year, and basically this guy is saying, listen, we don't give a fuck how that shit got in your system, Canelo. It was in your system. Since it's your first offense and you admitting that it was in your system, no matter how that shit got in your system, contaminated meat or not, then what we're going to do is we're going to give you a little slap on the wrist and say 6 months instead of a year. What's going to happen with Billy Joe Saunders? Let's go back a little bit.
Y la verdad que esto me puede mucho. Desafortunadamente, la pelea, la revancha tendrá que esperar.
The Nevada Commission's anti-doping regulations call for an automatic suspension when an athlete tests positive for a banned substance, typically for a year. But the Commission chose to dole out more modest measures in this case.
Taking out of order item number 6, hearing on the disciplinary complaint for boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez.
The parties have reached a proposed adjudication agreement, which includes a period of ineligibility of 6 months from the date of the first positive test.
All in favor? Aye. Great. Motion passes unanimously.
Whether it was from contaminated meat or not, we will never know. That's not our job to know. Our job is to know if you have it in your system, then we have a regulation and a rule and a sentencing guideline for that. And if you'd like to enter into a settlement and you're willing to admit you had a positive test and cooperate, then the commission for the first offense will show some pretty significant leniency. He followed that to a T, and he came out, I think, with a very positive outcome for himself.
Nonetheless, Canelo was out of the
First positive.
So basically, it's like this. If Andrade and his side really wanted to push the issue, they could say, no, we're not going with the fight. We want him stripped, and we're going to fight. I forgot the guy. The number one, let's go look at it. The number one WBO contender after, the next contender after Andrade. I forgot how to pronounce his name. But Eddie Hearn apparently has already signed a contract for Andrade versus this guy. Excuse me. I am going to go and watch some footage on him probably tomorrow. In case this fight does get, in case Billy Joe Saunders does get stripped and suspended. I mean, he'll still be able to fight over in the UK. That's the thing. But he won't be able to fight over here in the States. You see what I'm saying? So nothing will happen to him over in the UK. And the fact that Frank Warren, his promoter, is, in cahoots with the WBO a little bit. Not a little bit. He is in cahoots with the WBO, just like Bob Arum. It's hard to say that Billy Joe Saunders would be stripped. But once again, there's that big loophole double standard right there. That if Demetrius Andrade got popped for the same drug outside of competition, right, before fight night, because Billy Joe Saunders can use this all the way up to fight night. If he got popped, then he would be suspended for a year because VADA is governing this fight in regards to the Massachusetts State Athletic Commission. Crazy shit, right? Let's listen to a little bit more. There was one more part I wanted to listen to. And I'm going to leave the link there. Well, y'all can just go over to the Ring Digital. This interview is all over the place.
Don't have all the banned substances, like all the substances should be the same in every country, because UK boxers are going to fight in America and vice versa in all different countries. So it's essentially like stacking, or the wraps, the gloves. Why can't it just be one universal governing body for everything, especially all these substances? Because if you're saying it's a loophole, and now it can be a very big concern to boxers that say, ooh, I can legally take this without getting caught, and it's just like coffee times a million, or an inhaler for asthma. Why is it just, why aren't there any mandates or Why isn't anyone putting their foot down on this? This is ridiculous. Come on, Victor. This is getting so ridiculous.
There needs to be an international governing body that establishes what the tests are going to be, and they need to be 24/7, 365, all the top 10 at least in each weight division. Once they're in contention to fight for a title, they need to go into a pool that's year-round, not a couple of months out from a fight, and then have 4 to 6 months or even up to a year if you only fight once a year to use all the drugs you like and then enter this testing pool.
Correct. You know, and also what he's calling for is what should be is a hair sample testing, which can go back. For example, my understanding is blood and urine can only go back about what? Maybe a few weeks or so. You can clean it out your system a week maybe or some shit. But when it comes to hair, they can go back 6 months, maybe even further to see, listen, so you was juicing, because what happens is fighters can get the full benefits of a cycle, a PD cycle or whatever it is they're using, and it can, you know, benefit them months after they stop using it in the ring. Now, obviously, there's different issues with, you know, different types of performance-enhancing drugs, whether, you know, they're for conditioning, you know, strength, you know, if you just want to be a straight motherfucking savage roid using, just go straight for the anabolics and shit. You know, it's crazy.
Adjudicate. They do the testing and they give the results to all parties involved.
Here, listen.
Since the fight is still allegedly going on, from what we know, he's not being stripped of the title. Is there any, is he going to pay any fine? Or since he's fighting on U.S. soil, is there a penalty for him? Or I'm not even sure. I don't, because it's so, this is so new that this has happened here.
You have a number of parties and entities involved. Yeah. UK Anti-Doping, the WBO, the Massachusetts State Athletic Commission, and VADA, okay? VADA doesn't adjudicate. They do the testing and they give the results to all parties involved. It's really up to the state commission, but my understanding is that he doesn't even have a license in Massachusetts to fight yet, so there's nothing that they can do about this. Okay? So he's...
Correct. So basically, from my understanding, it's like a retroactive thing. So basically, from my understanding, right? He's going to file for his license on October the 8th at this hearing, and they can't penalize him for anything that happened before October the 8th, correct? They can't penalize him before anything that happened before he gets his license in. This is some shady ass shit. But once again, you know, it's legal over where he's from. And they really wasn't planning on him fighting over in the States. But nonetheless, it's still fucked up that a big-ass motherfucking loophole like this can exist, that Billy Joe Saunders has the, you know, advantage of using something to help him cut weight that wouldn't be able to, for example, put Billy Joe Saunders training camp in the United States versus where he is over in the UK. You know, it makes a difference, because how would it affect his performance if he had a grueling camp where he was worrying about cutting weight and all that type of shit, where it wasn't as easy without that drug? It is what it is, though. You know, truth be told, I'm not gonna lie, Billy Joe Saunders is one of my favorite fighters. Also, I still want to see the fight, and if Demetrius Andrade ain't bitching about it, then I'm like, man, let's listen to him again.
Billy Joe Saunders defends his WBO.
It's going to be on the zone, by the way.
Against Demetrius Andrade, the Rhode Island native, aiming for two-weight world glory. With more on that, Jen Brown, take it away.
Well, thanks, Joe. Jay, I'm here with Demetrius. Demetrius, yesterday news broke that your opponent, Billy Joe Saunders, failed a voluntary drug test, putting your fight in jeopardy. What are your thoughts about what transpired the last 24 hours?
Yeah, it's crazy and unfortunate that, you know, in order to try to beat me, you have to take enhancement drugs. But, you know, we're going to take one step at a time, pay attention to the protocols. And from my end, you know, I'm willing to fight and just put more fuel in my fire to whoop his ass.
Well, let's talk about that. You both come in undefeated, 28 knockouts between the two of you. Can I get a prediction on how you see that fight going?
I mean, after what's going on and what he's doing to try to get the edge, oh yeah, I'm definitely coming in to kill.
Now, you told me earlier that...
And you know, this drug is more powerful than clenbuterol. And it's like, it looks bad for Billy Joe because he was clowning Canelo, saying he should be banned for motherfucking eternity and shit. It is what it is. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. Please subscribe.